What is going on, guys? How y'all doing today? Rang with Manga 12 and we are back with Hail Hydra issue 1, and this actually pursues something to do with Hydra creating Venom or something like that and calling him Hydra Venom. So that's going to be interesting to see. Now, we don't actually see that in this issue. We're actually following various characters in this issue, so it's going to be really interesting to see, especially because this issue is pretty brutal. You know, like heads get chopped off and stuff like that. So it's not our standard comic book, so that's going to be awesome to read through that. Now, guys, I'm sorry that I haven't done a comic book review in a while. It's pretty much because I had to go to Comic-Con in London and, of course, a few other things that I've been busy with. But yeah, if you want to see that video of me traveling down to London, meeting Dan Slott, who is the writer for the Amazing Spider-Man comics, then click the video in the top left of the screen and go check that out, because it was an awesome adventure and, of course, just an experience to meet Dan Slott, and you also get to see him in the video as well. So go check that out. Now, without further ado, guys, I'm sure you're all eager to get into this, so let's go. Now, something that will definitely surprise you guys is that this issue kicks off with a bit of a bang. Right off the bat, we're introduced to this new character called Ian, or Leopold or something like that, and he is the father of SON of Zola, or the person that raised him, Captain America. So in this, Captain America is a father to this person, and we're pretty much kicking off the issue with him pretty much about to shoot Captain America in the head. So very quickly, we're getting the idea that this person has been raised by Captain America, obviously, like teaching him the ways of being a good person and stuff like that, but he's come from an evil background. He's come from the background of Zola, who works for Hydra. So that's going to be interesting to see. It kind of reminds me of Damian Wayne Robin from the Batman series. You know, like how Damian Wayne is from the League of Assassins, but it's Bruce Wayne's son, so Damian Wayne kills at first, but then he's like brought into Batman's side and he's like raised to be good, if you get what I mean. So it kind of reminds me of that, which is awesome, and especially because anything that reminds you of Batman should be awesome to begin with. Now, the issue does particularly become quite confusing, mainly because now the main character wants to be called Nomad instead of Ian or Leopard. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm saying Leopard wrong. It is 2 in the morning, by the way, guys, so if I get anything wrong, then it's probably because I'm just super tired. Yeah, it's pretty confusing, so we're just going to call him Nomad, and we actually discover that he jumped into a different dimension. He's actually got into one of Hydra's interdimensional infinite elevators, which is a kick-ass name, and as you can see, Nomad has pretty much jumped into a dimension where Hydra rules over everything. They founded New York, so there's no such thing as the Avengers, there's no such thing as S.H.I.E.L.D. or anything like that, and there's obviously no such thing as Captain America, but Hydra actually rules over everything. They're known in this particular location for founding New York, and they could probably be like a company that's known out throughout the world, maybe, you know, something similar to Captain America the Winter Soldier, where Hydra was S.H.I.E.L.D. I hope that's not a spoiler for you guys. To be honest, that movie's been out for ages anyway, so if you haven't seen it, that's kind of your own fault, but yeah. Now, I think one of the most amazing lines from this comic is where Nomad is thinking back to what Captain America told him, his stepfather, as you would, and he pretty much says, you don't have to be carrying the biggest stick to win the fight, just get control of the guy who does. And I think that is an incredible thing to say, especially because it kind of spills over into like real life, you know, like it's such a motivational thing to hear. I don't know, it just kind of really pumps you up throughout the comic hearing that line. Now, as you can see, Nomad kind of feels guilty for getting this civilian caught. If Nomad wasn't there, then this civilian doing graffiti wouldn't have been caught in the first place. So Nomad has that superhero tendency to save this civilian from Hydra's grasp, and I feel like that's where Captain America actually comes into it, because Captain America has kind of given that influence over Nomad to feel guilty for something that he's done to someone else. I love how Nomad is kind of just torn between being Zola's son, but also the heroic tendencies that Captain America has taught him and the environment that he's been brought up in. Because if you think about it, if he's been living with Captain America, he's been brought up around superheroes and the Avengers, seeing all of these heroes kind of be responsible for their actions and stuff like that. So that's awesome to see. Speaking of awesome, I think it's brilliant that Nomad kind of just throws out these jokes. He still has that humorous side to him, much like how Spider-Man is. So I have a feeling that maybe because Nomad was brought up by Captain America, then he's probably spent a little bit too much time around Spider-Man, or at least that is what I feel like believing anyway, because that would be just so awesome for Nomad to get his sense of humor from Spider-Man, throwing jokes out there whilst he's fighting. Now, as you can see, Nomad actually sets all of these people free. He stops this civilian from getting caught, he stops him from being burnt alive, whatever's happening. And I love how he just says, I like mine, like, really rare, because obviously the more rare something is, the less cooked it is. So I thought that was awesome to see that. I've said awesome a lot, But either way, as you can see, he takes down one of Zola's bio factories, and one of the most favorite things about him doing this is that he loves to see Zola's face. Now, what you've got to remember is that Zola is his father, so again, it's almost like Luke Skywalker seeing his father as Darth Vader, you know, like how his father is evil. So I have a feeling that this comic maybe takes influence from many aspects of like films such as Star Wars and stuff, so that's brilliant. But as you can see, we're getting to hear more about this civilian. We learn his name is Chris, and just as he's explaining all of these things, his head actually gets decapitated by someone with a very, very similar appearance to Captain America, except this guy actually works for Hydra. And as you can see, Nomad just starts going crazy on this guy. He's just killed a man in front of him. He has literally just decapitated his head from his shoulders in front of him. And as he's beating away at this guy that looks like Captain America, of course, emphasis on him actually looking like Captain America right here. And as you can see, Nomad actually manages to knock his mask off his head, and then it is revealed, or, well, I'm not too sure whether this is a reveal, but this to me seems like Steve Rogers working for Hydra. Of course, we're in an alternate universe, so that is entirely possible, but what's even worse is that Nomad was raised by Steve Rogers, so for him to see the person that he looks up to going against everything that he's been taught by his Steve Rogers is a little bit frightening. Now, guys, I'm not too sure whether that was Steve Rogers. I mean, there was no way to tell whether it was, but either way, what did you think? Let me know in the comment section below. That was the end of the issue, and I honestly have to say that this issue was a lot better than I expected it to be, because when I first saw it and I was like, oh, it's a different character, we've never seen him before, and it's got Captain America at the beginning, and then it kind of just strays away from Captain America. Obviously, Captain America is a popular character, so if he was in the comic the entire time, then you'd be like, oh, that's awesome. The fact that it strayed away from the Captain America character right from the beginning kind of made me doubt the comic, but once I read through the entire issue, I was actually really impressed with how they dealt with introducing this character, making you feel for this character, and they've really developed Nomad brilliantly, and you really wanted to see where the story went with him, and that's just the way to do it, and to me, that deserves a 9 out of 10. I really hope that I was pronouncing Nomad's name right, because that would be really annoying if I was saying his name completely wrong throughout the entire review. So guys, that is the end of this video. Let me know what you thought in the comment section below about this comic. If you like this video, then give it a cheeky like. That is such an English thing to say. So give it a like, hit the subscribe button for more, and of course go to the links in the description to follow me on Twitter and Facebook to hear about all my comic book news, and of course when these videos are going up, and of course more with my life if you want to follow me on Instagram as well. And I suppose I'll see you guys in my next video.